Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're going to get into a financial question that isn't really about the finish line, but much more about the starting line.
Right, where the real work happens.
Look, we are constantly hearing from financial experts about these huge, distant goals. Early retirement, the $1 million benchmark, six figures in passive income.
All great things to aim for, eventually.
Exactly. But for most people who are just starting out, those targets are so abstract, so far away, that they just become paralyzing. They don't motivate you to act today. They cause overwhelm.
Which is why we need to talk about a more immediate target.
So we're setting that stuff aside. We're focusing instead on the actual transformative, invisible threshold that fundamentally changes your entire financial life. And according to the analysis in our sources, that number is $20,000.
And that really is the core premise. $20,000 isn't just a number you hit on the way to something bigger. It's the critical barrier that separates people who eventually build real, sustainable wealth from those who stay stuck, living paycheck to paycheck.
So it's more than just the math.
Oh, it's so much deeper than the math. The transformation it triggers is a complete psychological rewiring. It shifts your relationship with money from one based on fear and scarcity to one based on growth and opportunity.
Okay, let's unpack that right away. Our mission today is to explore the difference between what our sources call survival mode and growth mode, and show exactly why this one milestone is the tipping point.
This is where the physics of money starts working for you, not against you.
To really get why $20,000 is so important, you have to understand the sheer difficulty of getting there. The sources use this fantastic analogy, and it's perfect. Pushing a heavy boulder.
It's so good. I mean, think about it. You're trying to get that massive boulder moving from a dead stop. You're straining, you're sweating, you're making this agonizingly slow progress.
And you're questioning if it's even worth it.
Constantly. You're wondering if all this effort is making any difference at all. You're literally fighting the gravity of modern life, just pushing this financial boulder uphill.
That initial gut-wrenching struggle is why so many people give up. It feels impossible because you're fighting inertia, but then you hit that beautiful moment when you crest the hill.
And the physics flips completely.
Yes. Gravity stops being your enemy and it starts working in your favor. The boulder just rolls down the other side, picking up speed. $20,000 is that crest.
And the reason it's such a struggle is all rooted in the psychology of survival mode. When you have little to no savings, your brain is forced to filter every single decision through a lens of fear and scarcity.
So what does that scarcity mindset actually force people to do?
Well, the sources point to its devastating impact on your career. Because you have no buffer, you're basically trapped. You take the first job offer that comes along, even if it's a terrible fit, because you can't afford to be without income for another week.
You stay in toxic situations.
You stay in toxic jobs, bad apartments, because the immediate risk of leaving just feels too high, even if it's the right long-term move.
The sources have this great line. It's like trying to plan a vacation while your house is on fire.
That's it, exactly. You literally can't think about growth or opportunity because your mental energy, your bandwidth, is completely consumed by immediate threats, like a sudden $500 car repair.
That sounds absolutely exhausting.
It is. But once you cross that $20,000 threshold, which is often, 3 to 6 months of expenses, that mental bandwidth suddenly opens up.
The question in your head changes.
It shifts dramatically.
Yeah.
It goes from that reactive, how do I survive until my next paycheck, to the proactive, strategic question of, okay, how can I deploy and grow this money? You move from preservation to wealth building.
And it's not about buying stuff. It's about building protection. I love that other analogy from the source material about trying to start a fire in the wind. The $20,000 isn't the bonfire yet.
No, it's not the bonfire. It's building the glass cage to protect the fire. It lets that small spark you work so hard to create burn steadily, shielded from the gusts of an unexpected medical bill or a car problem.
And there's actual data on this relief, right?
Yeah, Vanguard research cited in the source material found that just having $2,000 in emergency savings increases a person's financial well-being by a remarkable 21%.
Just $2,000, that's huge.
Right, but the real jump happens at our $20,000 level. Reaching that full 3 to 6 months of expenses gives you an additional 13% boost. And that boost is what buys you the mental space we're talking about, the clarity, the reduced anxiety.
The ability to actually focus on growth.
Exactly. You sleep better, you manage stress better, you can focus at work.
So that psychological shift is huge, but let's be honest, getting the money in the first place is, well, it's brutal. What does the math tell us about when the momentum actually kicks in?
That's a great transition because saving that first 20,000 requires what the sources call an identity level shift.
Mm.
You have to prove to yourself over months or even years that you can delay gratification.
It's proof that you control the money, not the other way around.
Totally. You track every dollar, you say no, you resist the urge to buy that shiny object. And once you've built that identity, the math starts to reward you with what the source calls comical acceleration.
Comical acceleration, I like that.
Yeah, so let's look at the numbers. Say someone is contributing $1,000 every single month and earning a conservative 8% annual return.
Okay.
Getting to that first 20,000 takes about 19 months. Think about that. A year and a half of constant intentional sacrifice.
That's why people quit. They don't see the progress fast enough.
Exactly. But after those 19 months of strain, you hit the crest of the hill. Now here's where the math gets genuinely exciting. How long do you think it takes to hit 40,000, that second $20,000 chunk?
It has to be faster.
It doesn't take another 19 months. It takes only about 17 months. You've shaved 2 full months off the timeline for the exact same amount of personal saving.
Wow. So your past sacrifice is literally buying you future time.
It's building you months of freedom. And the acceleration only grows. The math shows that once your portfolio hits, say, $400,000, the next $20,000 is generated in just 5 months from investment gains alone.
5 months. So the same amount of money that took nearly 2 years of grinding to save is now happening on autopilot.
That clarifies a huge misconception.
Right.
People think you need some secret trading strategy or some exclusive deal.
No, it's just math.
It's just basic mathematics working in your favor because of scale. The weight of the money you have is doing the heavy lifting.
Let's just illustrate that scale for a second. If you have $2,000 and earn a 10% return, you get $200, which is nice, but it's not life-changing.
Right. It pays for a utility bill, maybe. Now, apply that same 10% to $20,000. Suddenly, you have $2,000 in profit.
Okay, now we're talking about money that actually matters, that can fund a Roth IRA or pay for a real emergency.
Precisely. If you have $20,000 earning 8% a year, that's $1,600 flowing into your account without you lifting a finger. The only variable that changed was the size of your initial pot of money.
And this shift in scale translates directly into the third major benefit, which is maybe the most freeing of all: career optionality.
Absolutely. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're held hostage by your employer. You are in an incredibly weak negotiating position.
You can't ask for that raise.
You can't. The fear of getting fired is paralyzing. You can't push back on unreasonable demands because you need that paycheck tomorrow. You're negotiating from desperation, and employers can feel that.
But $20,000 instantly creates what the source materials call walking away money.
This is a tremendous asset. That buffer means you could quit tomorrow and survive for 3, 4, maybe 5 months while you find a better, higher-paying role. You're now negotiating from a position of strength.
And the beautiful irony here is you often don't even need to use the money to get the benefit.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Just having that security changes how you show up at the office. Your whole demeanor changes.
More confident, more assertive.
Exactly. You're more willing to stand up for your value. You stop accepting bad deals. It's subtle, but it's palpable, and people notice.
And when you show up differently, you start getting better assignments, more recognition. It becomes this fantastic positive feedback loop. More confidence leads to more money, which builds more confidence.
And that confidence also changes your financial focus. When you were struggling in survival mode, you're probably obsessed over micro decisions.
Oh, absolutely. Generic cereal versus name brand. Should I make coffee at home or buy the $3 latte?
And those things consumed all your mental energy, but they're largely irrelevant to your long-term wealth, maybe $1,000 a year max.
Right.
With $20,000 in the bank, you realize the power of focusing on the big levers. You stop sweating the small stuff and focus on the decisions that swing your net worth by tens of thousands.
Like what are the big levers?
Housing costs, for one, what you drive, which we'll get to, and most importantly, your investment strategy. Those are the high-impact decisions that deserve your mental energy, not the store brand pasta sauce.
So that security means unexpected costs change category. A sudden car repair is no longer a financial emergency.
It's a minor inconvenience. And this money creates options where before there were only roadblocks. You can consider investing $5,000 in a friend's startup. You can run the numbers on a rental property.
You can pay for courses to boost your earning potential.
Right. This is what people mean when they say money goes to money.
Hmm.
It's not magic. It's simply that having options creates opportunities.
Okay, now here is the great trap. We have to talk about this because this is where the whole thing can break down. After months of grueling sacrifice, hitting that $20,000 peak feels like a huge relief.
It does. And the greatest mistake people make is immediately treating that $20,000 as a reward and reverting to their old consumer identity. They spend it on a new car, a lavish vacation.
Or a down payment on a house they can't really afford.
Exactly.
We really have to stress this point, that $20,000 is not a reward to be spent. It is the foundation of your entire financial future. It's the seed that grows into true generational wealth. You
Right.
cannot dig up the seed.
And the most common culprit for destroying this foundation is the car. The average person spends well over $400,000 on cars in their lifetime, often more than it would take to be financially independent.
Just think about that active destruction of wealth. The sources note that a new car loses about 20% of its value the second you drive it off the lot.
You're taking money that can multiply and turning it into an asset that immediately evaporates.
And this is where that core mindset shift from the sources really comes into play. You stop asking the old survival mode question.
Which is, can I afford the monthly payment on this luxury SUV?
Right. And you start asking the growth mode question. What is the opportunity cost of this purchase?
That reframes everything. A $30,000 car isn't just a $30,000 expense. It's $30,000 that could have been invested, where over 20 years, it could grow to be over $200,000.
And suddenly, driving an older, reliable car, the strategic choice, stops feeling like a sacrifice and starts feeling like a deliberate, genius financial decision.
It's a decision that funds your future freedom. It gives you peace of mind and better sleep than the stressed-out person in the flashy new car they can barely afford.
This strategic lens applies to everything after 20,000. You start realizing you don't actually want half the consumer stuff you thought you did. The bigger apartment, the expensive hobbies.
It's not about penny pinching anymore. It's about intentionality. That $20,000 gives you the perspective to choose freedom over consumption.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? That $20,000 milestone won't make you rich overnight, but it is the invisible barrier that fundamentally changes your entire approach to money.
It's the transition from a life where you are reacting to financial threats to a life where you are strategically designing your future.
It's the intentional choice to start directing your money toward compound growth, building that glass cage for your fire.
Start viewing that initial amount not as a target to be spent, but as a foundation you must protect at all costs.
You now know the psychological and mathematical mechanics behind this first surge of financial momentum the moment the boulder crests the hill. So if $20,000 creates this comical acceleration, here's a final thought for you to mull over. What is the next invisible threshold? The one that triggers the shift from worrying about income completely to focusing purely on deploying your capital and generating the life you want. Start thinking about the power of that compounding today, because once the acceleration starts, it's incredible.